Have me pop immediately into the picture. Like this!
Hey.
Welcome to Cake.
Hey there.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
We're just starting. Surprise, I'm not Graham or Ashcon. I'm back. It's been about 2 months now since I've been gone, and Cake is donation-based and has been running for the last 46 weeks or so-ish. I think we're at 46 weeks. And yeah, every week we get together and we share tidbits on how to run your business, and this week's going to be a little bit different. We're actually going to just listen to me kind of do a little show and tell about what I have been doing for the last 2 months. So, rewind back to August. I was going through some crazy times in my life, and I was looking for something to just totally dive into, and I was doing work for a website called IdeaMensch. And IdeaMensch was currently on a 48-state road trip doing entrepreneurial meetups in one city in each state. And they would gather, Rand Fishkin from SEO Moz, founder of Pando Daily. I mean, they were just going all up and down the West Coast and hitting about Midwest when, I needed something to do. And I started talking with Mario, the founder of IdeaMensch, and it came down to, well, we're going to have a spot open up in September. I'd like you to join us on the road trip. And I said, sure, why not? I just kind of dove into something. I had no idea what I was getting into, and I really wanted to take a chance and meet a lot of people and see half the United States that I've never even seen before. So that's kind of how I got involved with IdeaMensch. And so fast forward now to and the first question is, what is IdeaMensch? And IdeaMensch is a website that every day they interview about 3 to 5 entrepreneurs on about how they brought their idea to life. And it's not so much the quality of the idea or how much money the business makes, but the fact that you had this idea and you went through the steps to actually make it into a business. And it all started back from Mario, the founder of IdeaMensch, came to America at 16 as an exchange student because school was too hard in Germany. And he was just going to ride out the rest of his years in America, where it was a lot easier for education. And he just never left. He straight up just went to college here and started working in ad agencies, all up and down the West Coast. And in the advertising world, that's kind of like a frustration for him. It was where ideas went to die. And where you'd go in on Monday and you'd have 100 ideas about what you're going to do for your client, and by Friday you have 2 ideas left and you hate them both. And it was the whole process of those ideas coming to life. He wanted to start interviewing entrepreneurs on how they actually didn't kill off that idea and brought it to life. And so that's how IdeaMensch started. He did it for about 3 years as a side project while he was still working in advertising agencies. And it's grown to what it is today. It has about 50,000 readers. It's interviewed Seth Godin and Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's accomplished quite a bit in that time. And so finally, being an exchange student, being sponsored by the companies he was working for, Mario finally got his green card and was able to legally open a business in the United States. So IdeaMensch was legit at this point. And he decided to celebrate by quitting his advertising agency job and to tour the United States to do kind of a little PR campaign, a little brand awareness campaign to tell everybody about IdeaMensch and really what it's about in person. And so the tour is called IM 48. It's IdeaMensch 48, representing the 48 states he toured. And he really just wanted to go all in with this and make it something big. And with the help of a total of 6 people, he was able to accomplish it. He traveled 26,000 miles over a 4-month period and was really able to connect over 200 entrepreneurs, 200 CEOs with thousands of entrepreneurs. And so it really did a successful trip with that tour. And so kind of going into my part of the trip. So like I said before, it was a 48-state road trip. I, however, did 23 stops on that 48-state road trip. So I came on, like I said, about halfway through. Mario was generous enough to just to say, I know you've got some stuff going on. Come with me, focus on work, and let's get this done together. So on the trip, I personally traveled 4,500 miles. I flew from Portland to Boston, met up with them, and drove from Boston all the way down to Miami, from Miami all the way over to Los Angeles. And it was an amazing experience. I mean, I've been to Orlando, Florida for a couple of days. I've been to Atlanta, Georgia, Bentonville, Arkansas, and really it was all work-based and never got to see the countryside. And I can just tell you right off the bat, America is beautiful. And there's a lot of similarities and there's a lot of differences in not only the landscape, but even the people you meet. And so this trip really just kind of like enriched my life, and it's literally one of the most life-changing things I've done. And I'm really appreciative to be able to do it. On this trip of the 4,500 miles, I saw 100 different CEOs give talks, and I've met thousands of entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, and really just, I would just talk to them and hear their story and start like mentally aggregating like commonalities amongst them, and just try to like, I wanted to come out of this with basically the psychology behind entrepreneurship and just really kind of say we all are alike. You know, we all might look different, be different, and have different beliefs or whatever, but our passion is the same when we decide to start a business. And I think I really confirmed that when I went on this trip. One of the main things that I went into this trip with the notion of, and it really confirmed it, was life is about experiences. And it's not about the possessions you gather or anything like that, because if that was to all go away, at least if you had experiences, you still have memories. And so that's really what I wanted to kind of like share with you guys is, life is about experiences, and I'm going to share quite a bit of those experiences that I've learned on this trip. I think to summarize the people I met along this journey, one of the most common characteristics is that they were all genuine. And, when I go to networking events, even here in Portland, you get this like facade of like, hi, my name is Bob, and it's bullshit. People are putting on this front when they're trying to impress and meet other people, whereas on these events, people were going to learn, and they were being humble, saying that like, yes, I feel I can learn something from you. And so that immediately kind of broke down those facades, and you really got to know some amazing people on the trip. And so one of the main things was, I think, to be successful in business is you got to be human and just be genuine. I think people will gravitate towards you, and overall you'll be happier in life. And in talking with all these entrepreneurs and reading the interviews on IdeaMensch and so forth, they all had kind of one common regret. And that common regret was they all wish they would have started sooner. All the entrepreneurs that I've met and talked to, and I've asked them, like, what's your common regret? None of them said starting a business. None of them said, oh, I went bankrupt and I hate it. No, they all regretted starting sooner because it's the most amazing time of their life. And they have control. They're no longer being bossed around. They are, in control of their environment. So that was one thing. If people are starting to think about, starting a business, just start now. Go all in, and just really you won't have any regrets. You might not know as much as if you spend 6 to 9 months learning and so forth, but that's 6 to 9 months of wasted experiences. And a couple of like the human side of things is
sorry, I'm just going to interrupt for a second.
No, join us. Have a seat.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the common things was take care of people when they're down on their luck. A lot of the businesses and a lot of the entrepreneurs I met, everything they were doing is making an impact in somebody's lives. Whether, they were charging for it or not, it was a nonprofit. What they were doing was being genuine with people. And I honestly don't think it was a subsect of society these were fans of IdeaMensch. No, I'll tell you a little bit later, like, a lot of these people had no idea who IdeaMensch was to begin with when they came to our event. So, like, I'll just kind of blow that out right out. I genuinely have, like, reestablished a faith in humanity that, like, people are out there to do good and that people aren't just out for corporate greed and stuff like that. And this goes all over the country, all throughout New England, down even through the southern states. Like, there are people doing good in every part of this country, except Mississippi. No, I'm just joking. But, darn Mississippi. One of the main things I realized in all these cities was the most successful ones, they had a tight-knit entrepreneurial ecosystem. They all kind of, the startup scene, as they call it, in Portland has a really great one. You see the same people at different events. They all kind of know each other. They help spread the word. They help connect people. So if you're, having a trouble in one area of your business, they'll say, "Oh, hey, I know somebody. Let me connect you with them." And that's one of the interesting things, that the larger events we had was a very supportive entrepreneurial community. And I think that's very important, whether it be going to Schmooze or something like that in Portland, or even Cake. Find like-minded people who have the same kind of passion as you do, and just surround yourself around positive people and people that share the same vision. That's one of the things that will help keep you motivated and keep you inspired to keep on trucking, instead of closing up shop and having your regret be, "Oh, I started a business, I regret that." No, once you immerse yourself into that culture, your only regret is that you wouldn't, you wish you would have started it sooner. So, there have been some key practical business tips that I learned along the way. A lot of that was just kind of personal things that I've gained just on the people side of things. But one of the consistent themes when talking about developing an idea or developing a business that we heard along the way is avoid taking financing or investments whenever you can. Try to bootstrap, try to, take little outside money as possible. And that's something we preach a lot at Cake. It's not a common, it's not an uncommon idea, but people often think, when I start a business, I have to go write up a business plan and go down to the bank and cross my fingers I get a loan. Start small and just work your way up. Those oftentimes are the more proven businesses, and they'll stick around. And if it doesn't stick around, you didn't go in huge amounts of debt or burn a lot of bridges. One of the key quotes that I heard was actually from somebody in Phoenix, Arizona. I really liked, is take the business card versus the credit card. When you're meeting people, you're meeting investors, and they say, "Wow, you have a fantastic idea. How much would you like me to invest?" So forth, and just immediately to say, "Hey, I just want to, count on you for a couple of questions here and there," and just take their business card and just kind of put that in your back pocket in case you might need money. And they might follow you along, connect with you on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever case may be, and you actually might end up getting more money or different investors later on down the road, should you choose that path, because you've toughed it out and you've actually built a stronger business, versus a lot of investors try to get in on the early stage, try to get a large portion of the company for a small amount financed, and the more you can hold out, the better, was one of the main, financial takeaways I got. So ultimately, what made a successful business from the people that, joined the IdeaMensch group was they all followed their passion. Nobody started their business that we met based on, "Well, my brother told me this industry was growing, and I decided to just start a business in it and capitalize on the money that was coming in." Nobody did that. Everybody started a business that they were passionate about, whether it was a hobby they wanted to turn into a business, or it was just something they were fascinated with and were happy with, not making very much money for a long time, but they were still happy in the work they did. And that really comes back to do what truly makes you happy. And that will help grow your business, your spirit in working in your business, and the people you hire, it'll just infect them too. And you really need to have that passion and be happy with what you're doing if you want your whole business to function even without you. Find a source of inspiration or motivation. Whether you're one of those people that like to visualize your motivation or inspiration, you cut out pictures and put them by the bathroom mirror every day, or it's just people you talk to on a daily basis or blogs you read. Take a moment of your time to kind of recharge your inspirational battery, so to speak. And above all else, create value in other people's lives and you'll win. And that's kind of, it's very non-tactful advice. You can't just do that, but just keep that in mind as you're going along. Like, how am I creating value in somebody else's life? Because if your customers value what you do, even in an economic downturn, you're still going to be one of those first people that they're going to pay the bills to. So that was kind of one of the key things, is just create a culture, create an environment that's going to sustain throughout all times. One of the interesting quotes, a couple of them actually, one guy had tattooed on his forearm, but it was great. One of our speakers, it was fantastic, but I'll cover the other one first. One of the guys' mottos, and that was the theme of his whole entire talk, was do epic shit. Just, if you do something that's just so awesome you won't have to advertise, and people will literally take notice and gravitate towards you and spread the word of mouth. And if you're starting a laundromat business, like for example, we met somebody in Newark, New Jersey who wanted to own a laundromat. And that sounds kind of plain, but she was a JetBlue flight attendant and took their customer service aspect of JetBlue and applied it to the business. It was one of the most successful ones in the town because she added elements like free daycare for the parents so the kids aren't running around and creating distractions and stuff like that. She brought in tutors from local schools to help the kids do their homeworks, and so she created value in those parents' lives while they were doing laundry. And it was just amazing. It took notice. I mean, she was the only laundromat where you have a free tutor while you're doing, drying your laundry. And so she was just going above and beyond. And that was one of the important things that about her talk. She wasn't an experienced CEO with a multi-million-dollar company, but her story was so great, and the things she was doing, those multi-million-dollar companies and CEOs could take notice. And just you'll find golden nuggets of information like wherever you look. So there's no bad idea, and if you think a business is crummy, just start talking to people about it. You might actually learn some things about, this crummy business that came to fruition and how they overcame some hurdles. And that was one of the interesting things about the laundromat, business owners. You think that's so simple and that can't be very profitable. And she even added credit card swipers on her laundry machine, so you didn't have to go to the bill changer and get quarters and stuff like that. And she just made everything easy for the people that were there. Because if you're a mother of a couple of kids and you're having to truck all the laundry down to the laundromat, it's hard. And it was almost like spa treatment every time somebody went and did their laundry. I thought it was just an amazing story. And the other one, his guy's name's Alex Hillman. He's in Philadelphia. He has on his forearm, he looks every day in the mirror. His inspiration is JFDI. And we all know just do it. Well, his is just fucking do it. And it's kind of this added emphasis of literally, don't have any doubts. Just every day you wake up, just know that you're just going to fucking do it, and you're not going to pussyfoot around and go, yeah, I'm going to put that off until tomorrow. I'm not really in a great mental state to do it today. No, because it's going to be there tomorrow, and it'll probably be worse. Just do it today and get it out of the way, and you'll appreciate yourself for it. So that was kind of like one of those spots of inspiration that I kind of saw. Because sometimes, I'll look at my to-do list and go, yeah, there's no way I'm doing that today. And I just remember that guy, and I was like, he was bold enough to just fucking do it on his arm to remind him every day just to do it. So I thought that was pretty amazing. Going back to just fucking do it is be feverishly productive in everything you do. Be mindful of your idle time. Facebook's a big killer, and I do Facebook for a living. I run Facebook pages for people, and I'll just have that tab open and go, oh, notification. It's not for a client. It's somebody liking a picture I do or mentioning what they had for lunch. It's stupid shit. I'm fascinated with it. But I have to break myself of that habit. And I just got to be mindful of what I'm doing. Is it productively, working towards something bigger? And that's we all need to take little mental breaks here and there and schedule those. Schedule like 15 minutes every 2 hours to get up and do push-ups or have a snack or call your mom or something like that. And just you don't have to be a robot and a machine and just work away all day, but the work you do accomplish has to be just focused and driven. There's a lot of stuff out there that will help you do that, whatever the case may be. I mean, just Google if you have a problem on Facebook. I found there's a Facebook nanny. Like, it's the thing for parents, but business people are increasingly doing it in their companies. They're literally saying, okay, you get 30 minutes of Facebook time every 5 hours. Oh shit, like, I have to make sure if I'm on Facebook it's going to be productive because I work on Facebook and I can't, Facebook will live on without you. You don't always have to check it. Or whatever the case may be. If you're a TV watcher, cut your cable out. If TV is really implementing or really hurting your drive on doing something, take that bold step and just cut it out of your life. Like, just call them up and decline every special offer they try to throw at you at the last minute. And just, you'll be so much freer and happier to just produce. And, especially us in this room, we're in our prime productive ages. And so the less we are distracted and the less we get caught up in just frivolous stuff, the better we're going to be in the future when we're not so productive or able to lift 500 pounds a day and just load, salt in a room and stuff like that. Like when you're 90 gram, you're not loading salt in a room. So it's like do everything you can now so you don't have to do it later on. You can have people do it for you. And a consistent one that's popular in every startup entrepreneurial circuit there is fail often and fail quickly. And we've talked about that a lot here in testing methods. And it's very true. And everybody looks at failure as this big setback, and it's not. And it's really an opportunity for you to grow and learn from how that happened to prevent it from happening again. And that every speaker we talked to, it was almost cliche, but it was so true, is every failure was a learning experience, and that they appreciated failures. And they were even that inspiration for their employees when their employees felt like, boss, I messed up. No, that's awesome. So next time we won't just do this and this, and we'll be right next time, right? Well, you're right. And they would just send them away, motivated again, to continue work because they kept that positive attitude and just realized every failure was a learning experience. Awesome. So, it takes a lot of energy to kind of keep that passion and drive going. And one of the biggest things that I've been reminded of time and time again, and everybody knows this, I think if there's a person in the room that doesn't know this, they're just lying to you, is you just got to be healthy. If you're not taking care of your body, you're not eating right, you're not exercising and so forth, and you're not sleeping well, you're not going to be able to keep focused. You're not going to be able to get up every day and just strive away at your business. Being healthy creates energy. And just 3 months ago, I was 250 pounds. I'm 225 now. I've just been working out like a madman and just eating right and just realizing that, my wasted efforts eating the whole pizza and drinking a crap load of beer and stuff like that were really hurting me in my business life. And it's great to have beer. I have beer here. But I don't have 5 beers, and I don't have a whole large pizza. I might have 1 slice. And, there's everything in moderation in that aspect. And so one of the main things to get that going is you have to create a morning ritual and stick to it. You just get up at the same time, and this is what you do for the first 2 hours before you hit work, and try to implement exercise. If you absolutely can't, implement exercise immediately after work or in between work sessions, like a lunch break. And you don't have to exercise every day of the week. 3 times a week is plenty for most people. And bike to work. I'm giving up my car so I can just bike around again, because I did that 3 years ago and I lost 60 pounds. And so I'm just going back to commuting on bike now. I'm just kind of resetting my life to the stuff I should know. And a lot of the people that I met, that was the first thing they said, was I just exercise every day and it gives me energy, and going forward, I reaffirmed that I have to do that. So as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we got to be healthy, because you got to be there for your business. You can't be sick, you can't be bedridden and stuff like that. And so take the measures that's going to also make it able for you to enjoy your life when you're 60. And because your business has grown and now you can take vacations everywhere instead of being on oxygen and being sick all the time, It's just one of those important things that I'm not the specimen of health, but I'm slowly getting there. But so, you can't always just go manually by hand and do that stuff. You got to be efficient and productive with your time. And one of the biggest lessons I learned on this trip was leverage technology. This is such an amazing age where we don't need to keep a notepad of paper around and write all of our stuff and then lose that notepad and have to think about what was on it and write it down again. Get a digital notepad, an iPad, a phone or something, and keep your notes digitally, and that will be one step. One of the big things we learned on this trip was counterintuitive to everything I've believed in marketing. I've believed in being just very passive and genuine, and don't ever spam people because they'll just block you. And when you're doing something in a big campaign and you can't afford for people not to see it, we spammed the shit out of people. And we couldn't do it by ourselves, so we leveraged technology. There's a couple of programs that you can get out there. There's a Mac version called Text Expander that you have to pay for, but it was so valuable. Colin and I, or PC guys watching Mario, literally send about 50 to 60 emails an hour. Just detailed emails to people. And a lot of the emails were over and over again, repetitive stuff, and we're sitting there going, typing it out or create a template and copying and pasting it and then editing it out, and that still took time. We were only doing like 30 emails an hour. So I found for Windows, Phrase Express. That's a free software, and you can create emails with macros in it. So when you're in your Gmail even, you can just type in a little short code. It pops up with your variables like what city are you talking about, what's today's date, and now you have this fully created email in less than 30 seconds, and you can click send and move on to the next person. And, be a social media mofo. Like, literally go out there and just like, people's statuses on Facebook and connect with people on Twitter and just try to get out there. It's cheap, it's free, it only takes time. You can have, interns do it. And I even talked in previous cake sessions how you can do social media an hour in a day. So it doesn't take all your time, but literally digitally help spread the word about yourself and help connect with people. You don't have to go to networking events. You can digitally network and get the same results. Follow up with everybody you contact. There's a couple of great tools and services out there that help you when you're spamming tons of people, try to follow up with them all. A contact management system like Evernote's Hello. So if you meet people or email them or something like that, you can start keeping digital details about them with conversations like how many kids do they have, what's their names and ages, what's their dog's name. So when you are going to meet them again or you have met them, you can recreate that connection again and go, oh, how's Bobby and Susie and your dog Spot? Those people are amazed. Like, I feel so appreciated that you're able to remember all that, and you just created a stronger link in your business, and you didn't have to remember it up here. You literally just had to create a separate contact in your Evernote Hello, or Basecamp has High Rise. That's another really popular method of just kind of keeping a management system for your contacts. So kind of leverage technology whenever you can. Don't try to do things manually, and you'll definitely thank yourself for it later. So like the overall theme about everything, and Mario said this the best, and he realized this about halfway through his trip. He was just like, there's a consistent theme, and you have to go all in. Like, you can't half-ass a business. And it doesn't mean quit your job and, dive into this and be poor and stuff like that. Like, Mario started IdeaMensch and worked on it for 3 years before he was able to quit his job and work on IdeaMensch full-time. And, same thing with any other business. If you sew handbags, you're not going to quit your job and just sew handbags all day. You're going to work 9 to 5, pay the bills, and you're going to create the handbags that you can create during 6 to midnight or 2 in the morning, whatever the case may be. And so just be passionate, go all in, learn every chance you can get. Try to, in the background, have a podcast going or something, while you're doing the dishes. Again, being productive and having no idle time. When you're doing the dishes or cleaning house, stuff you have to do anyways, have something educational going on in the background you can listen to. A cake podcast. I'll get those up eventually. Mm-hmm. But, just kind of learn it every chance you get. Even if it's topics you know about, it's a refresher. And it's going to constantly reaffirm that in your mind that you're going to remember this and start implementing it in your life now. And don't commit to something if you're full of doubts. I mean, we all have doubts when we start something. Oh, what if this and that? Those are common. Those are natural. But if you're really thinking like, I'm a horrible salesperson, who's going to be my sales team? And I hate hiring, so how am I going to hire? If there's so many like doubts in your mind and you just don't think you can take the steps to overcome those doubts, then don't start a business, because you're just going to get frustrated after the first month or fail and not be aware that it's a learning experience, and you're just going to give up, and you'll be a statistic of like one of the many 95% of businesses that go out, within 5 years. And overall, and to summarize it up, and the same guy in Phoenix, that I just fell in love with this talk, and hopefully it gets online, and if it does, I'll share it through Cake. Take a bold step in the face of fear. I talked about, don't commit if you have doubts, but if it's a doubt you think you can overcome, just go and do it. Just fucking do it, Just go in there and take that chance like I did on this trip. I mean, I literally wasn't going to pay rent on a place that was going to be empty for 2 months, so I just threw my shit in the storage and slept on some couches in a friend's house until I was ready for this trip, and, I took some sacrifices to have this wonderful experience. And so, the long story short, fill your life full of experiences and just be happy being an entrepreneur. So pretty much it. It's kind of everything I learned in 27 minutes.
Awesome.
Yeah.